Hello, welcome to DLD College London. Thank you for joining us this evening. We're very grateful for you to give up your time and come to see us this evening. So tonight's webinar is about the wellbeing opportunities at DLD College London. So this is being recorded, so please well, I just need to tell you that we're being recorded. I just wanted to let you know that we have 5 speakers this evening. Our principal, Irfan Latif, is going to give you a brief introduction to DLD, and that will be followed by our senior vice principal, who will give you an overview of the wellbeing and student support at DLD College London. And then he will introduce the key members of his team, head of wellbeing, head of learning support, and also head of co-curricular opportunities and sport. So we do have a sixth form open evening coming up on Tuesday the 1st of December. So if you haven't registered for that and you'd be interested to find out more about the subjects on offer and meet some of our subject teachers and the heads of our faculties, then do please join us for that evening. You can register for that on our website for the virtual open evening. I think we've got a couple more people to join us, so I'll just wait for a couple of seconds whilst we wait for that before we start. And I want to thank everybody again for joining us this evening. It's very kind of you to give up your time. We do appreciate it. We know that it's not easy. People are starting to get a bit of Zoom fatigue, but we'll try and keep this interesting and snappy for you. So before I do that, maybe I'll go straight into launching with Irfan now and introducing our principal, Irfan Latif. Please do ask any questions via the chat function or the question and answer function, and I will be happy to field those to the panel later in our question and answer session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rachel, and welcome to all of you to DLD College London this evening for the 7th in our series of webinars explaining the various aspects of this award-winning school. These are challenging times, but like the virus, we have mutated into something stronger. Our powerful ethos and our core values of tolerance, respect, and kindness have strengthened our community during this unprecedented time in our history. We're like a family, looking out for one another and caring for each other. That's what makes our school so special. Those strong and powerful relationships that we nurture and foster here makes for a happy, supportive, and friendly environment. I'm so privileged to be the principal of this innovative and caring school. As the Good Schools Guide recently said, DLD is a friendly, relaxed place with excellent pastoral care, attentive teaching, and high aspirations for all. A wide range of qualifications and high-quality on-site boarding facilities make DLD stand out against the competition. If your son or daughter comes to DLD, they can expect high-quality teaching and learning, excellent pastoral care, a range of co-curricular activities to nourish the mind, the body, and the soul, and a compelling ethos of well-being, which is at the heart of our school, where your son or daughter is at the centre of everything we do. Our sector-leading work in wellbeing was nominated for the prestigious Independent School of the Year Award in 2020, and we were also shortlisted for TESS Boarding School of the Year 2020. Last month, we were awarded the Special Judges Award for Independent School of the Year and Boarding School of the Year. And to have won those much coveted awards during this difficult time for all of us speaks volumes about the students and staff here at DLD. And it's our staff, you'll meet some of them this evening, are the key ingredients in what makes DLD so special. So much so, we've been awarded the London Healthy Workplace Charter for our work on staff well-being. We've come a long way in a short space of time, and we look to continue to be caring but innovative and lead the way in teaching and learning, well-being and boarding. It's an exciting time for the college and an exciting time for you to join us. And I only hope that your sons and daughters seize the various opportunities that are on offer, from music, sport, art, drama, Duke of Edinburgh, so that they're ready to face the challenges that lie beyond our college doors. As we look to grow DLD further and become an outstanding boarding school with all the exciting innovations, from the Wellbeing Centre to our urban boarding philosophy, I want us to remember the three pioneers who founded the college back in 1931 and who the college is named after: Messrs. Davis, Lang and Dick, DLD. And as we approach our 90th anniversary next year, 2021, it's important we respect and continue their powerful legacy and reputation long into the future, as they now become part of our new 21st century vision: development, leadership, diversity, DLD. And I want you to be a part of that vision. I look forward to developing your sons and daughters to become the next generation of leaders in a challenging and diverse world. Thank you for coming tonight. I'll pass you on to Tom, our Senior Vice Principal, Pastoral. Tom.
So, good evening, everybody. I think it's a great opportunity this evening to give everybody a chance to have a sense of who we are as a college, and really to give you a sense of some of the key things I think that we really hold very strong to our hearts. You're going to meet a number of different members of staff who are very much involved in our whole ethos at DLD. We're very proud of some of the achievements that we've managed to achieve over the past few years. And as Irfan pointed out, we've managed to get very thankfully some external recognition in terms of some great awards and some great recognition in terms of some of the things that we've been doing. I hope to share a presentation with you at the moment. Just waiting for Rachel to perhaps just give me some permission to share my screen. But whilst that is going on, I'm just going to introduce the three speakers who are alongside me today. Firstly, we have Mark Johnson, who is our Head of Wellbeing, who you'll hear from in a few moments. You have Sean Gallagher, who is our Head of Co Curricular, as well as our Head of Sports. And also we have Charlie Pinel, who's the Head of Academic Support, but also very much is involved in delivering the Duke of Edinburgh Awards. Again, a very important part of what we do at the college. Okay, so first of all, I'm just going to go through the presentation and give you a sense of some of the things that we're doing. So let me just, get to the first screen so you can see who I am. So there we go, there I am, Tom Hadcroft, Senior Vice Principal. And if you've never been to the college, here we go. Here's a picture, which is my favourite part of the whole college. It's right overlooking that central atrium area. And you can see some really key things on that photo. We're very transparent, we're very open, and we're very inclusive in terms of what we achieve. So you can see there, right in the centre, the atrium floor. Just about see the kind of doors through to our global kitchen and some of those amazing flags which represent all the nationalities which form part of our community. On the far end there, you can see the Wellbeing Centre, and we'll find out a little bit more about that as we go on. But as you can see, this is a very different school experience. And it's those values of respect, tolerance, and kindness which are central and wrap round all of the things that we're trying to do here at DLD. So as I said, we're very lucky to have been awarded some of these achievements over the course of the last year or two. As Irfan said, Boarding School of the Year, but also Independent School of the Year. And that Independent School of the Year was a special judges award focused primarily not only on our urban boarding, but our well-being within the college. And we're very, very proud of that. Alongside that, on the right-hand side, the Independent Schools Association, we were the finalists for Student Innovation of the Year, and we're waiting to hear how we've done in that particular award. The results will be out soon. We've also been awarded the London Healthy Workplace Charter. And then at the bottom end there, very key for the students, the School Mental Health Award. This is an external award, again, by the Carnegie Centre, which we've got in the past month or two. Very much with the students at the centre of all those decisions and all those kind of support structures. And then very close to Charlie's heart, you'll hear in a while, the D of E, and we have gold, silver and bronze awards which were awarded here at DLD. But you know, again, Charlie might touch on this, but 11 students from the silver actually achieved silver during lockdown. From some of the key things they were doing during lockdown, it was recognised by the Duke of Edinburgh Award. So we do things even despite some of the kind of challenges and the hurdles that we face. So just in terms of some of those pastoral structures that you have around at DLD, again, on the right, just starting at the very top there, the personal tutor. Each student has a personal tutor who they see on a daily basis, and one day a week for an extended personal tutor session, whether that's dealing with some of the kind of PSHE, there's personal and social kind of matters and some of these things that they need to talk about and perhaps discover and challenge and debate about. It's very, very central. The personal tutor is the champion of each of the students within the college, and alongside them, a director of studies who oversees a number of different personal tutors. In the red, we have really the wellbeing team and the wellbeing group of people who are there. So from the counsellor and the nurse, we also have Mark as the head of wellbeing. We have Charlie there as the head of learning support. We have the school coach, Matteo, who's in once a week and is very much a really pioneering part of what we do here at the college. We have two members of the student services also looking over attendance and also just making sure the students are taken care of during the day. In the green, really focused on the boarding side, we have a huddle house parent, and that is for a number of students. They have a group they call a huddle within the boarding, and we have each of those huddles has a house parent attached to them. And an accommodation officer who really deals with those students who are independent livers or those people who are living outside in homestays. In the blue, very, very key to us is the students. And as we said before with the ISA award, student innovation and student voice is central to everything that we do. It's a very, very big passion of mine and others to make sure that all the decisions that we have, really the students having some input into those. We've got a great student council of 18 students with 2 heads of school, Charlotte and Sophie this year. They've done some amazing work, especially with all the things going on with COVID, to really make sure that the students are feeling as safe and as supported as possible. And alongside that, the student mentoring scheme. So again, we have a mentoring scheme where the year 13, the year 12 are some of those people who've been here for a year or two. They're there to support those new students coming through. So really, really a lot of different areas and a lot of different aspects around that particular student, your son or daughter, if they choose to come here. So just moving on then, back to that Wellbeing Centre that we saw in that photo in the second slide. The Wellbeing Centre is it's now 2 years old, really a very, very important part of who we are. And its central place within the college is representative of central nature to us and our ethos. So that side of respect, kindness and tolerance, really very central to that as well. And all those people there are there as our wellbeing group. Now, I'm going to hand over now to the head of wellbeing, Mark Johnson. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I am going to hand over to Mark, who's going to speak to you for a little while. Over to you, Mark.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much, Tom, both for the intro and for basically stealing everything I was going to say. Obviously, Tom knows better than anyone the provision that we have. So what I thought I would talk about is what that might look like day to day for your son or daughter, for any student that's here. As the head of wellbeing, it is my job to try and make sure that every student that comes through DLD does so happily and healthily. And there are a bunch of different ways that we try and do that, but it starts at the very beginning of the year with two principles of accessibility and visibility. I try and make sure that every student in this building, whether they're a returner or a new student, knows what's available to them and how they can find it. And then putting myself front and center and the wellbeing team front and center, so that even if they were wondering where to go, it would be really easy to find someone to support you, whatever you need. The Wellbeing Centre was a conscious decision to locate as many of those support services as possible in one place. So the structure of the physical layout of the college is it's on a loop. And on the first floor, there is an area as part of that loop where you will bump into myself as the head of wellbeing. I share an office with Sean Gallagher, the head of Co Curricular, who you'll meet in a bit, the school nurse, the college counsellor, and student services. The only one of this team that isn't in that particular space is Charlie as head of learning support, but he's directly above us, so we're able to direct. But what it means is that if a student is walking around the first floor, even if they walk past us, they can just keep going and they'll come and find us. It's also a very popular area for students to kind of locate themselves to study or to hang out. And so we have quite a good set of eyes on any student in the college. It's very central to college life. So we get to know as many students as we possibly can, and part of that is by them just coming to visit us in the Wellbeing Centre. We try and make sure that the support that we offer is holistic and embedded. Tom talked a little bit about the various services. To recap, we have a college counsellor, and a college counselling team actually, where we have a couple of part-time counsellors as well, a college coach that operates a lot like a life coach, but it's actually generally about empowering students to develop themselves, to make the most out of their time here and make the most out of their goals. And the nurse is also there for any medical or health checks. And then student services are for anything that most students might need on their journey through the college. So if it's from trying to replace a timetable or get your entry card recoded so that you can pick up your lunch that day or get through the gate, student services are available for everyone to drop in. At the beginning of the year, I'll get up in front of the students and I will bug them to let them know who I am. Usually I would do that with a giant beard, just so that I was as familiar as possible. This year, apart from the fact that I'm in the middle of Movember, sorry, this year we couldn't really notice the beard. So I actually made sure that every student knew that they could find me because I'd be wearing an extremely loud pink face mask. And then for the first couple of weeks of college, I would sit myself in the atrium just to make sure that people are there. In that respect, we start to notice who are the students that are asking for help, who are the students who are looking like they might need help. And it begins this process of identifying who might need to be reached out to for support, or making sure that people who want to ask for support know where to come. Tom talked about every student having a PT, personal tutor. They will see their PT every single day, either in a registration session, or on a Tuesday we have an extended session with the PT where some PSHE takes place, personal social health education, or college life lessons, so instructions on how to work within the college, the kind of getting yourselves established at the beginning of the term, and then notices and events throughout the rest of the year. There will also be a certain amount of tutor tracking of the student over this time. So the PT will have coach-like conversations where our coach designed a questionnaire that invites the student to reflect on their own academic progress, but also personal well-being, just to keep a track of that. And they'll meet regularly on a one-to-one basis, just to make sure that they are keeping an awareness of your child. And then the PTs will feed anything important back to the directors of studies, or to myself, or to the college counsellor if something needs to be referred. We also have a system of identifying students who maybe might not show that they need support. Tom, I think, may talk about it later on, or if not, I will now. It's called AS tracking, and it's used by a number of schools to establish patterns of thinking within students that helps us to kind of tailor the support that we give to the entire student body, but also lets us identify students who have ways of thinking or ways of viewing the world that might suggest we're going to meet them later on in the year in order to support them. It's a very, very useful tool, and it's starting to get used in a lot more independent schools around the country now. The main thing that we do, though, is to try and establish trusted points of contact for your student, whether that is in the Wellbeing Centre, popping in to see Emily, or popping in to see Charlie, or my door is open, or the PT. But we really know that when your child comes to a college, it's not necessarily going to be the people that we put in front of them that are the adult that they trust. So we try and encourage every member of staff to have that pastoral responsibility over the students. So a lot of our staff are coaching trained. And so if they are your child's subject teacher and they happen to be the person that they contact or feel like they want to be open with, then that staff member is equipped to make sure that they receive the support that they do. So it's really about tying it all together and embedding it within every part of college life. We also try and include the students as best as we can in that. So as Tom described, the student council act as buddies for entire PT groups and offer a peer point of contact for students who might not necessarily open up to or feel like asking a question of an adult. There will be a one of our best representatives really in the student council who will be dropping into those PT sessions and making themselves available to students, as well as an ongoing program of peer mentoring, which is designed by one of our teachers, Jess Ellett, head of biology, who guides students who wish to be mentors through a training program and then connects them with others, with students that could benefit from being mentored throughout the year. So really making sure that every student knows exactly where and how they can get the support that they need and what that support might be. That's what it looks like on a day-to-day basis. I hope that gives a reasonably clear picture. That I know it's a lot of information, but please do, if you have any questions, throw them in the chat and we can get to them on the end. I am going to be passing over to our head of learning support, Charlie, unless you've got a picture of him, have you, Tom?
That's fine. I was going to say I was going to just show you the screen, but just to introduce, thank you, Mark. I think that's some excellent kind of hopefully expanding on some of the great things that we're doing here. Yeah, as Mark said, now handing over to Charlie, who's our head of academic support and our Duke of Edinburgh Award coordinator with a lovely orange tie. Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you, Tom. So here at DLD College, we do celebrate diversity within our mission statement, and this includes neurodiversity and also disabilities. And we have a small learning support team who work closely with the wellbeing team to meet the needs of students who may find some aspect of learning difficult or college life difficult. About 80 students who we have within our learning support department who have diagnosed learning differences. We have students with dyslexia, attention deficit, delayed processing, and some who are on the autistic spectrum. Each student will have their needs met in different ways, depending on the individual. In the majority of cases, a student's needs will be met within the classroom. And I work closely with teachers and pastoral staff to ensure that there is sound communication around a student's learning profile and the strategies which help to support them. In some cases, students may require a little bit of extra support outside the classroom. And if there's an identified need for this intervention, we may put in place some one-to-one learning support mentorship, which will help the student to, for example, organise themselves, plan, proofread, or something similar to that. All students identified by staff or parents, or students who self-refer to learning support that have a history of educational needs will be assessed for exam access arrangements by my colleague. And based on evidence requested by the exam bodies, we may be able to apply for provisions such as extra time, use of a laptop, or a student's own room for their exams. Feedback from students who are comfortable with an academic challenge, but who struggle in a busy environment, often report that the small classes and the quiet atmosphere here at DLD College really suits their kind of style of learning. It's always worth me mentioning that appropriate course selection is also a key to successfully supporting learners with educational needs. And it's no different here at DLD. Students with learning needs flourish on a variety of courses at every level. However, it's worth mentioning that students who find aspects of traditional academic learning tricky often find that the style of teaching and assessment on a BTEC course can support their learning really well, and we do offer BTEC. BTECs are equivalent to 2 or 3 A levels, depending on the qualification level, and the BTEC course focuses more on ongoing assessment than traditional exams, which can support learners who are productive and creative, but who struggle to retain information from an exam. The staff who deliver our BTECs are among the most experienced in meeting the needs of students with additional needs. And the BTECs we offer include business studies, our business studies, creative media, and music technology. To round off my short segment, I want to talk to you briefly about the types of scaffolding we offer for specific types of learning need. This list is not exhaustive, and our approach is unique to each student, but it might help nonetheless to have an idea of what sort of happens around students with specific needs. Students who have challenges around cognition and learning, such as, for example, dyslexia, we generally look at support structures inside the classroom, such as encouraging use of laptops, encouraging staff to deliver multisensory lessons, and scaffolding, and potentially allowing rest breaks or encouraging prompting to help students stay on track. For students with social communication difficulties, such as autism, I work closely with the head of CCA, who you'll hear from very shortly, Sean, to ensure that opportunities arise for students who aren't necessarily comfortable interacting with others to meet fellow students with similar interests in a structured and safe communication environment. This is including setting up certain CCAs, such as Chess Club, Pride, Podcast Club, and Dungeons and Dragons, which seem to promote and encourage interactions between students who find it difficult to communicate with peers during unstructured times. For students with mobility difficulties and wheelchair users, the college is set up to be accessible, and students who cannot access stairs will have their car used by students with accessibility difficulties. For students who require additional support with social, emotional, and mental health, I work extremely closely, as you've heard, with my colleagues in the Wellbeing team to see if we can provide the support here within college, or if not, make external referrals if required. Now, it would be remiss of me to say, it would be remiss of me not to say the following. We cannot guarantee that DLD will be able to meet the needs of all students. Despite all these support mechanisms that we have in place, DLD remains an academic environment, and we wish to make decisions around admissions with a student's best interests at heart. We would not want to set up a young person to fail, and if we could not offer the support they require, we would say so at that stage. However, we will try to accommodate provision wherever we can. At the point of admissions, we make an honest and informed decision about how we best support a young person with additional needs within DLD, taking on board all the information that we've been provided. As Tom mentioned earlier, the other hat that I wear is indeed the Duke of Edinburgh Award. Whilst there's no kind of direct link, those two things remain quite separate. When I talked about encouraging students with learning needs to try and find challenges that help them kind of to be in teams, we do find that the uptake on Duke of Edinburgh for students with additional learning needs is quite high. For those of you who don't know what the Duke of Edinburgh Award is, it's a 3-tiered award system where you can get bronze, silver or gold. It's an extracurricular award system in which students are showing their ability to engage in activities outside the classroom. So they do 4 categories. They learn a new skill, they take part in a physical activity, they engage them in some volunteering, and they take part in an expedition. And as Tom said, we've had a variety of students pass their Duke of Edinburgh Award at bronze, silver and gold level. We're particularly proud of the fact that a few students, 11 students, took part in what was called the 2020 Certificate of Achievement. When all the expeditions got cancelled as a result of lockdown, the Duke of Edinburgh Award said that they would be able to give certificates of achievement for students who completed the skill, volunteering and physical section during lockdown, and 11 of our students went above and beyond during quite a difficult time and completed that award during lockdown, so we're pretty proud of them. Talking about Duke of Edinburgh, of course, is a good segue into CCAs, and so it's now my pleasure, unless Tom wants to come in to introduce, to jump back to Tom to introduce Sean.
Thank you, Charlie. I'm sorry for butting in. I think it's worth saying here about that central kind of idea about diversity within the college as well, and you know how important it is to us. We have obviously over 60 different nationalities within the school, and you saw that with the flags at the start. But diversity also talks about neurodiversity, and all of us having different challenges and different ways of doing things. And I think the inclusivity is incredibly important to us, to make sure that all of us, all members of the community, all students are part of what we are doing here at DLD. Which again, you know, as Charlie said, we're moving on now to hear from Sean Gallagher. Time to put your video on, Sean. Is the head of Co Curricular Activities within the college. Absolutely crucial parts of what we do to extend life above and beyond what goes on in the classroom. And Sean is also the head of sport. So Sean, over to you to introduce those aspects.
Hello guys, good evening. My colleagues have done an excellent job already of kind of mentioning the importance of co-curricular, even in their roles. So you can see how kind of the wellbeing team all really work together, and a lot of what we do kind of crosses over. And so yeah, my role is basically to kind of ensure that there is a solid program in place for students for our co-curricular activities. We do offer over 30 co-curricular activities, which for the number of students that we have in total is quite a lot. We are fortunate enough to have some external facilities in very close proximity to the school, which is really convenient, as well as using a gym which is just attached next door to our school. How do students sign up for CCA? So at the beginning of the year, we have a CCA fair, and that's an opportunity for our wonderful staff to show all of their very creative interests, because they are the ones that will run our co-curricular program. And you know, here tonight we have Mark and Charlie, who both run multiple CCAs and are a key part of the co-curricular program. And it's really important that our staff are involved in that, because you know, if you're teaching your subject, you may not come across as many students as you would do if you weren't involved in co-curricular. Whereas this way, it kind of gives staff members and teachers, and students the opportunity to kind of cross paths with as many different individuals as possible, and really build some kind of key relationships there, which I think is really, really helpful because it gives an opportunity for students to ask for help from more staff members, just because they are interacting with them more across different co-curricular activities. And yeah, so my job is really to make sure that students understand the importance of taking part in activities outside of the classroom. You know, we want to achieve success academically, and that's really important to us, but we also understand that if students aren't kind of fit and healthy, and have interests that they participate in and that they commit to, then it's going to be really hard for them to achieve those academic kind of grades. So that's what the wellbeing team are kind of there for, to marry up those academic kind of needs, as well as those things that happen outside of the classroom, as I say. So some of the major sports we do, because obviously I'm sure some of you will be sportsmen and women and are interested in what we run in that capacity. Our three major sports are football, netball and basketball. We're fortunate enough to play some of the top schools in London. So, you know, we will play Godolphin and Latimer, Putney High, Dulwich, which is a really big achievement for DLD. And we've come a long way in the last couple of years with sport, to now being able to play those schools, especially with them having a lot more students than us to pick from, you know, and having grounds where they can have lots of sport on site. So we're quite proud of that. We've also had the opportunity to go abroad and compete in skiing competition in recent years, and won some individual prizes there and team prizes, and that was really special for the school, because again, some of these things are new to us, and we're kind of dipping our toe into some of these competitions, and to come out with some success is really, really rewarding for the students and of course the staff involved and the school as a whole. So just to run through some benefits, which I'm sure you guys are all aware of, but just communication, friendships, social skills, the physical benefits that come with doing things outside of the classroom are really, really key. And the wellbeing team all have that at the core of kind of what we do in the communication that we put across to students when it comes to co-curricular. And with all of us having that same message, I think the students really understand the importance of it, and are keen to get involved. Tom did mention the student council earlier, and they play a really key part in letting me know what students want to do. It's not always possible. We can't always run every single activity that the young people are looking to do, but we try our very best. And if it is feasible, we do try and make it happen. And we get that student voice through surveys kind of every term. So if something is new and popular and students want to get involved, then, you know, that goes in a survey, and then I can kind of work on putting that in place. Yeah, I think another part of my role as well is from a charity point of view. So I work with the Student Council charity team, and we're quite keen on putting on charity events, and that's a really important kind of community aspect of my role, and it really does bring the DLD community together. And, you know, in terms of our values of tolerance, kindness and respect, you know, it's definitely one of the kindness elements to what we do, and it's really important for students to understand that we do need to give back, and that, you know, we are in a very privileged position being at DLD, and so yeah, it's really nice when we can put events on as a community and give back. Most recently we've done a virtual live 5K, and that was a walk or a run or a cycle. Lots of students and staff got involved, and, you know, that was in a time when you know, we're going through a pandemic, and we still managed to make that happen, and raised lots of money for our local charity, Evelina Children's Hospital, which is just based at St Thomas's across the road from us. As you can see, myself and Mark are also rocking moustaches. This is not our usual look. This is for Movember, another charity that we hold quite dear to us, and we raise money for them on an annual basis. So another great initiative that the school have put on, and that students and staff get involved with. We've had quizzes in the past, we've had staff-student football matches, so it's really fun. And I think that's a really important part of the co-curricular program, is making sure that students understand that, yes, our academics are really important, but we also want to have fun while we're at school as well. And I hope that I'm able to provide that in my role. I think really that is as much as I can kind of say. As I said, our colleagues have kind of really mentioned lots of co-curricular kind of points already, and Charlie's done a fantastic job from a DLD point of view, and it's a real privilege for us to be like an assessed centre and to be getting as many awards through the door as we are. It's absolutely awesome. So yeah, Tom, I think back to you.
Okay, thank you, Sean, and great job. So, I think you're getting a great sense now of who we are, some of the great things that we're doing. Nice combination there of Sean's to talk about, obviously, all the things that we're doing from that kind of outside of classroom kind of dynamic, but also some of the kind of healthy things that we're trying to also really embody within the student as well. So, focused on the idea of obviously exercise. The virtual 5K was an excellent piece there, and people running all over the place in different places, sending their photos back. We had a really great kind of social media kind of spot around that. Exercise is very important. As well as that, we are pioneering with our sleep practitioner training. So we've got 2 sleep practitioners on the staff. We're really focused on performance around that. So how does sleep link to performance? These kind of questions are very important. And also we're looking at diet as well, and how and what kind of food that we can ensure that the students are having on offer within the Global Kitchen, the excellent facilities that we have here. We have some wonderful food, really trying to think about how all of those aspects kind of work together to try and get the very, very best out of the students so that they can actually take those tools and really kind of take them on, not only themselves afterwards, but going back to that idea of leadership, taking it outside of school context and really helping and embedding that with others as well. So really kind of linking all that together. Great, so now you've heard about from Mark as the Head of Wellbeing, Charlie, the Head of the Academic Learning Support and the Duke of Edinburgh Award, and Sean, the Head of Co-Curricular and the Head of Sport. So some 3 very, very key people within our wellbeing provision. I'm just going to finish going through some more slides just to give you a bit more information about some of the other things and just maybe going into a little bit more depth about some of the other things that we deal with. So there's, I just going through the photos again, nice photo of Charlie there, probably in the Chilterns or the Duke of Edinburgh up in Box Hill very recently. We've got there Sean at the very top of the building. What a wonderful view from the top of the building we have, and obviously there, it's very, very central within London as well, next to Waterloo and opposite Big Ben and the House of Parliament. So just moving on then, as you can see, that is our pastoral care group there. So on the right hand side, you've heard from some of those individuals today. There's also there Emily, our student school counsellor. We've got Matteo next to Charlie there, who's our life coach, Katie under there, who's our school nurse. Just some of the rest of the team within that wellbeing group who really do focus on the central needs of the student. There, right in the centre is our building. It looks very round and circular from the outside, but it does have some depth, and inside that very kind of symbolises where we are as well. Right in the heart of things is our tutors and our directors of studies in amongst all the students and academic performance. And on the left-hand side, those directors of studies, the 4 directors of studies there on a Zoom call or a Teams call with a photo, they're the people to oversee the personal tutors. And below, Gareth Evans, who is our head of lower school, who runs that lower school with the initiatives that go along with it. And we'll find out a little bit more about that in a little while. So just going back to some of the things that Mark was talking about, our toolkits, what is our toolkit? and what do we expect, you know, for our staff to be using when we're trying to support our students through this perilous, you know, kind of years of teenage kind of challenges. Well, we've got a lot of different training providers that we work very closely with. So first of all, from the top left there, the sleep charity I've mentioned. We are starting a pioneering award, which will be the first boarding school in the country to focus particularly on sleep. And as I said, 2 sleep practitioners within the staff as we stand, which we're going to expand on as well. We've already had 30 members of the staff who have been sleep trained, which sounds quite an interesting and fun thing to do, but really interesting and very, very important. Again, going back to the neurodiversity and then kind of, you know, making sure that each and every student understands that maybe some of the things about their biorhythms and their sleep patterns, and actually what they can do to make sure that they rest appropriately and recover, and what that does for learning as well. And also, alongside that, we've got the AS tracking. Steer is the company who run that. AS tracking is now becoming more widely recognized around the country. AS tracking is a tool which is a similar to kind of psychometric testing in some way, but provides us with some data, pastorally focused really, about students and what potential, you know, what potential issues they might experience, so that we have some kind of action plan based on that data, which can preempt maybe some of these things that might actually cause challenges for them, and actually build up resilience. So really it's about development, going back to that DLD, the development of the individual and our support of that person to get through and actually to maybe improve on certain aspects, and to maybe head off at the pass some of the things which might be big issues for them. Alongside that is Papyrus. We take mental health and well-being very, very seriously. And so we have Papyrus, the providers of suicide prevention, essentially, that to provide training for staff so that they can look for mental health issues and triggers, and really be there for very, very serious situations and know how to manage them. So we take things very seriously. As you can see, and below that as well, the assist training as well is very much centered on that as well. Alongside that, right in the middle at the bottom, we've got Graydon. Graydon are our coaching providers, and we take this very, very seriously. Coaching culture in the college is central to what we do. We work very, very closely with Graydon, who've worked with more established and very recognised names like Wellington, Rugby, Merchant Taylors and Uppingham schools. All of these schools are working as well as ourselves alongside Graydon. I'm developing a personal tutoring system at the moment alongside the head of sixth form at Rugby School. So we take these things very, very seriously. We believe that coaching is central to the empowerment of the individual students, so that they can leave this place not as an exam factory with a piece of paper to say I've got certain grades, but they have more control and more understanding about what they want to do and how they can achieve it themselves. So it's not really just spoon feeding, it's actually them trying to have a bit of understanding, independence, and driving them on into that university life and beyond, really, with some of those great tools. And then really very passionately, I believe, you know, that mental health first aid is very, very important for us. So in the bottom left-hand corner, the Mental Health First Aid Award, of which I'm a trainer, 60 members of our staff are mental health first aid trained. And again, going back to toolkits, this is one of the key toolkits that we can have, is to recognise those signs and symptoms of when students aren't necessarily coping very well, and how can we help them and build up that sense of resilience. So toolkits, you know, very much central to what we have, and really that sense that those tools won't necessarily be used at all times, that these are all part and parcel of different things which might be used at different times, and we're being proactive and preemptive in some of those decisions. So going back to AS tracking, if you've never heard of it, here we go. There's a bit of an explanation on that slide. So this idea of surveys, on one side, the survey itself can be sent out to students, and it can really, you know, we can get some kind of student voice outside of that, what kind of well-being, what kind of experience they're getting, and really getting a sense of perhaps, you know, really enabling for that, you know, a review process based on what their responses are. AS tracking gives us something more. and it reports that hidden pupil voice. And, you know, if you go to a lot of the established schools now, AS tracking is becoming a norm within those particular types of contexts. It's done phenomenal work for us over the years in really adapting and identifying the needs of students before they actually appear or surface. And some of the data, we do this over 2 reporting periods in the year, one in October, about 6 weeks in. I did a little bit later this year because people obviously were finding it a little bit challenging getting back into the norm. And usually about February, March. Those 2 points of the year, they give us an indicator of where the student is at those 2 times. And actually, we have action plans in between those points of the year. Those action plans are adopted and really give kind of tools and a kind of sense of direction for staff of how to support that student. And that second piece gives us an indicator where that action plan actually has, actually provided some kind of a response in the student. So really, really interesting package, and very, very, again, central to a lot of what we do here at the college. Just going back into the members of staff who are in amongst the students and providing that support, are particularly focused on the lower school. You've met Charlie. There's a good picture there of him with Gareth, the head of lower school, and you can see Charlie's holding up a laptop with the online tutees who are all kind of linked in, and he's giving an assembly right in the middle of the atrium there, and we're giving out awards. Again, you can see Sean in the background there, again holding up a laptop, including these online learners. It's been an interesting year, but the blended learning approach that we're trying to adapt to is important. Everybody needs to feel part of the community, and the house system that Sean and Charlie and Gareth have been central to is really part and parcel of trying to ensure that we have good sense of identity, ownership, and really a sense of belonging within DLD. Whether you're somewhere else or whether you're right here in the college, everybody needs to feel that sense of DLD pride and DLD identity. And just going on back to the student council. So again, we mentioned them at different times, but these individuals are some of the most important individuals in the whole college. They all represent everything we are as a college, and we're very, very proud of them. We keep talking about them, but we're incredibly proud of them. The heads of school there, Sophie and Charlotte, are obviously our heads, and they've really focused on making sure that students across the community are feeling well supported this year. And then we have 4 different subgroups. We have the academic, the wellbeing, the charity and community, and the events. And those senior prefects, they head up their different teams. We've had some great things happen over the course of the last few weeks and months. And I was just over the moon when it came to September this year, when so many students came back. And we had those online and we had those face-to-face who were here, but all of them wanted to make sure that every single new student felt that sense of pride and identity and belonging within DLD. And I think we're very good at that. You know, I had a survey recently. We talked about what do we do well, and the students and the staff, what they came back with was that word relationships. We have incredibly good relationships between the staff and the students here at the college. And that's what we really bring to the value added. That's what really is the glue that holds everything together. It's respect, it's tolerance, it's kindness, and all of those things are embodied in the relationships that we have between everybody. So those prefects, those senior prefects and the heads of school embody the very, very best of who we are. And they are from all over the world in some part. There are people from the UK there are people from Europe, there are people from Asia, Africa, everywhere. So it's really a sense of community in the world within the college. Really very, very central to who we are. So I've talked there a lot about really some of the key themes, and going back to what Irfan said at the start, you know, we are all about development, leadership and diversity. And I hope over the course of this particular talk that you have a good sense of who we are now. We drive very, very much with well-being. It's central, it's fundamental, it's a foundational point within DLD. Because if the students aren't themselves, if they don't feel comfortable, they can't get through challenges within their lives, they will not achieve what they hope to achieve and get that potential that they all have. Every single student has the potential to do well. And just going back to things that Charlie was saying about neurodiversity, everyone is here to achieve, but also for us to help them with education, both inside and outside of the classroom. They need to learn everywhere. So that concludes really the talk for today. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope the last hour and a bit has kind of flown by for you. But it's an opportunity now for you to ask any questions. You have a panel of people here ready and waiting to answer those questions for you. So I'm going to hand it back to, let's everybody put their videos on maybe, so that everybody can be seen. And maybe Rachel, if you want to take over from this point, over to you.
Thank you so much, everybody. Tom, if you could stop sharing your screen as well, that would be good. Honestly, that was brilliant. So many interesting facts. The wealth of support is amazing. So we did have a couple of pre-registered questions. One was, can parents meet with the college counsellor or nurse if any concerns are raised? So Charlie, Mark, sorry, could maybe you answer that?
Sure. So the counsellor client relationship is a confidential one, subject to obviously any safeguarding concerns that come up in those sessions. However, the counsellor does meet with and communicate with parents to help make sure that the support that is required can be provided in the right way wherever. So yes, they can, but the second part of that is it won't necessarily be in a way to tell you what gets said in those sessions. The counselling sessions are confidential between the counsellor and the student.
Fabulous, thank you. Then one for Sean, are all the activities after school, Sean?
Not all. The majority of our co-curricular program does take place after the school day. However, we do have some lunchtime clubs as well. I know Charlie earlier mentioned the chess club, so that is definitely something that happens at lunchtime. Charlie is also involved in the ukulele club as well, along with some other students. That's one of our activities that is both staff and student, and we have that in some other activities as well, which is great and goes back to my point about staff and students getting to engage with each other in kind of areas where they wouldn't necessarily if they don't teach them or the students not in that class. And a lot of our music lessons and CCAs will happen at lunchtime, but the majority of activities are after school.
There's a poster for Podcast Club in the middle of the day, which I'm a particular fan of.
Indeed, yes, that is true. Apologies, I forgot about that one.
We've also got some live questions as well. So Charlie, do you work with external professionals that a student might have? Because my son has ADHD.
Yes, certainly. So it's always dependent on the individual student. We do have some students here who kind of receive speech and language or occupational therapy by professionals, and they kind of feed into what we're doing here by kind of communicating with us in terms of kind of objectives and outcomes and things like that. We have at times referred students to things like education psychologists or CAMs in order to get assessments, and yeah, like when I was saying during my talk at the end, when we're thinking about students and support and provision, we always look at that point of admissions, what's in place at the moment. You know, if it's kind of very, very specialist support that requires a particular journey, obviously we take all that into account, and whether these things are actually accessible during the school day. But yeah, we certainly have had students who access other support at the college that we've been able to facilitate in terms of you know, making that happen. One of the things that's quite good is that, you know, you have gaps in the timetable from, you know, certainly during A-level, whether you take the A-level course or the BTEC course, there are gaps. And so we can often arrange for off-site specialist support to happen during that time. And occasionally we will have professionals coming on site and working with students, for example, occupational therapists and things like that.
So I think that follows up, there's a follow-up question. Can the timetable be adapted within reason for these students with special needs?
So we have had a couple of timetable adaptations. We try and facilitate as much as we possibly can. It is dependent case by case, but we certainly have built one of the timetables that we built this year was under the understanding that there was a student within this class who had a particular medical appointment on a particular afternoon every week, and they were able to create a timetable. It was flexible enough at the start of the year to be able to create a timetable where none of his classes happened on a Wednesday afternoon. Depending on course and things like that, I'm not going to sit here and completely guarantee that, but we have definitely been able to adapt timetables around those sorts of things. We've also had sort of been able to look at some flexibility, and again, our priority is for students to be here and on site and learning. We have been able to provide a tiny bit of flexibility for students who have a little bit of a school anxiety, where we are able to kind of give them a bit of a break one afternoon where they can access one lesson online, and we're looking at that sort of thing at the moment as a way of kind of making flexible timetables.
Great, thank you very much. Sean, a couple of questions about the CCAs. Specifically, are there any music clubs, and is there a snooker/pool club?
So we do have a DLD band club, and that is pretty strong. I think I saw a video the other day of them working, practicing on an Amy Winehouse song. There's even some lighting in there down in Mark's classroom down in our theatre. So yes, so definitely our DLD band club. As I mentioned, ukulele club, which Charlie will make sure I mention if I didn't. So ukulele club, and as I said, there's also private music lessons. So that is something you would need to pay for, but we do have expert teachers who can deliver that as well. So that's also an option if you wanted to pick up an instrument, or you're already at a grade and want to continue to improve. And then the second question was around snooker pool. We do not have a snooker table, unfortunately. I wish we did, that would be awesome. But we do have a professional pool table, and that lives in the atrium and is available for kind of boarders in the evenings. And we get a lot of use out of that. It's not officially a co-curricular activity, it's just something that is on offer every day of the week, from kind of post school time. So hopefully that answers that question.
And I guess somebody could set up a club if they wanted to, or a competition, couldn't they?
Yeah, indeed, exactly. And Tom was mentioned about the house system earlier in the lower school, and I am dabbling at the idea of us having a house pool competition. So yeah, there's always options.
Brilliant. Somebody's asked about when we'll be able to have visits to the college again. I can answer that one. So I know that Ben, Head of Admissions, who you may have heard from if you've attended previous webinars, he's really keen to get people back into college. So we're very much just sitting and waiting to see what the government has in store for us from the 2nd of December. If we can at all get you back in for the personal visits, he's very keen to sort those out. So please do let Ben know that you're interested, and he can add you to the list, because he is compiling the list of people who would like to come and visit us in person at the moment. Whilst we are closed, he is also able to offer you a virtual tour. He will walk around the college with his Surface Pro on video and talk to you at the same time, and go and bug members of staff as if you were with him. So if you prefer that, then he's quite happy to sort that out as well. Are there any other questions for this this evening, because I know you know they've done such a great job, our wellbeing team, this evening. So thank you very, very much. I don't know whether the panelists have got anything more that they'd like to add whilst we're waiting for some final questions.
I just wish I had my ukulele on me so I could have, you know, given you a little bit of a rendition.
I was just going to say I can also answer any drama questions because I'm the drama teacher too.
Ah, brilliant. So next week we've got, sorry,
I was going to say, Rachel, as well, we didn't mention, and we should mention, all the great work that happened over lockdown in terms of the college. You know, some of the posters, we haven't mentioned this, but there's I think it really kind of epitomises again some of the great work and some of the great feeling and sentiment that the students have. You know, when the Nightingale Hospital didn't kind of work out in terms of receiving the posters, the rainbow posters from around the country, we put a plea out and said, you know, send them to DLD, and we had the most phenomenal kind of experience where thousands and thousands of posters from around the country arrived here at DLD, and you know, it would be wrong, I think, with, you know, well-being in mind, not to mention that kind of initiative and what an impact that had, you know, certainly on the students of the college. I've still got posters up on my back. You can see a rainbow there. You know, these are
there's an example.
Yeah, there we go. Mark's showing the photo of the students outside with all the posters around that first and second floor. You know, well-being is so important to us, but it's moments like that that really, you know, I think really make us all very, very proud of working in this amazing place. It is unique, like we said at the start. It's an amazing place to be, and it's an amazing place for students to be as well. And you know, I think we're all very, very proud.
fabulous. Well, thank you very much, everybody. I mean, thank you so much to our attendees this evening. We won't keep you any longer, so enjoy the rest of your evening, and we hope to see you in college very soon. Thank you again. Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye.